Welcome to Chronicles Unfolded, where history comes to life. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the entire history of Japan, a country whose journey from an isolated island nation to a global superpower is filled with fascinating tales of innovation, conflict, and resilience. From ancient Japan to its rise as a technological leader, let's uncover the rich history of this remarkable nation. Japan's history dates back thousands of years, beginning with the Jomon period around 14,000 BCE. The early inhabitants of Japan were hunter-gatherers who left behind distinctive pottery and tools. This period, named after the rope-patterned pottery, marks the earliest known evidence of human presence on the islands. As the centuries passed, Japan entered the Yayoi period, 300 BCE, 300 CE, where the use of bronze and iron emerged and agriculture began to shape the landscape. The Yayoi people introduced rice cultivation, which would become central to Japanese life for millennia. As Japan evolved from small tribes into an organized society, the Yamato clan began to rise to prominence. By the 3rd century CE, the Yamato clan established the first centralized authority on the islands, marking the beginning of Japan's early imperial history. By the 6th century, the Japanese monarchy was consolidated under the rule of the Yamato court. Japan's imperial family, still holding a symbolic position today, traces its lineage to these early rulers. During this time, the Japanese court began to interact with neighboring countries, especially China and Korea, which influenced the culture and governance of Japan. Moving into the Heian period, 794 to 1185, Japan experienced a cultural golden age. The capital was moved to Heian-kyo, now Kyoto, where a refined court culture emerged, influenced by Chinese models, but uniquely Japanese in its form. The elite class, or aristocracy, engaged in arts, literature, and intricate poetry. While the court flourished, political power began to shift. A growing military class of samurai emerged, and by the end of the Heian period, the aristocratic elites lost much of their influence. Instead, the samurai began to take on more significant roles in government and military affairs. In 1185, after decades of warfare and power struggles between powerful clans, Minamoto no Yoritomo established the first shogunate in Japan at Kamakura. This marked the beginning of the samurai as the ruling class, shifting power from the imperial court to military leaders known as shoguns. During the late 13th century, Japan faced invasions from the Mongols under Kublai Khan. The Mongols attempted to invade Japan twice, in 1274 and 1281, but the samurai, along with powerful storms known as the kamikaze, successfully repelled the invaders. This period reinforced the samurai's role as defenders of the nation. The 15th and 16th centuries were marked by the Sengoku period, a time of intense civil war and political fragmentation. Powerful feudal lords known as daimyos fought for control of Japan. Among these figures were notable leaders such as Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu. Oda Nobunaga was the first to attempt to unify Japan using innovative military tactics and technology. His successor, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, completed this task, solidifying his rule over Japan, but it was Tokugawa Ieyasu who would ultimately achieve lasting peace and unification. In 1600, Ieyasu defeated his rivals at the Battle of Sekigahara, cementing his power. In 1603, he became the shogun, establishing the Tokugawa shogunate and beginning the Edo period, a time of peace and stability that would last over 250 years. The Edo period, 1603 to 1868, was a time of great internal stability in Japan. Under Tokugawa rule, Japan maintained strict isolationist policies, known as sakoku, limiting foreign influence and trade. This helped Japan preserve its traditional culture but also kept it disconnected from developments in the wider world. While the country was isolated, Japan saw significant growth in its economy. The merchant class began to flourish, especially in major cities like Edo, Osaka, and Kyoto. Cultural innovations such as ukiyo-e woodblock prints, the kabuki theater, and haiku poetry became integral to Japanese life. The 19th century brought new challenges, especially with the arrival of Western powers. In 1853, Commodore Matthew Perry of the United States forced Japan to open its ports, marking the end of centuries of isolation. This event led to the Meiji Restoration in 1868, a period of profound change. The Meiji government implemented sweeping reforms, rapidly industrializing Japan, adopting Western technology and modernizing its military. The feudal system was dismantled, and Japan transformed into a constitutional monarchy with an emperor at its helm. As Japan modernized, its ambitions grew. By the early 20th century, Japan had emerged as a global power, defeating China and Russia in military conflicts. However, Japan's imperial ambitions would lead to its involvement in World War II. In 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, pulling the United States into the conflict. Despite early successes, Japan faced devastating defeats, and by 1945, the war ended after the US dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Japan formally surrendered, marking the end of the war and the beginning of a new chapter. After World War II, Japan underwent a remarkable transformation. Under US occupation, Japan adopted a new constitution, demilitarized, and embraced democracy. The country embarked on an economic miracle, rapidly rebuilding its infrastructure and becoming a global leader in technology and manufacturing. From its ancient beginnings to its rise as a global superpower, Japan's history is a testament to the power of transformation. The journey of this remarkable nation shows us that every chapter of history, no matter how tumultuous, carries the seeds of growth and renewal. Japan's story continues to unfold, and we're here to witness it. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through Japan's history. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned for more stories from Chronicles Unfolded.
Beep, beep.